All right, everybody, we are back again for another episode of the Coaches Compass. Now, I know I said last episode of season 6 was going to be last episode, but I said, nah, never mind. We're going to run it back because I got another special guest with me here today. I got Coach Bradley Moon. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe button down below so you can have this thing continue to grow, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. Now, Coach Bradley hit me up on IG and said, Coach, I got some new things out there that I want to tell the world about. So I didn't even prepare for this. I saw some of the stuff on IG, but I wanted him to go ahead and say it for himself. So, Coach, welcome back, and thank you for being here. And what's been going on, man?
Man, I tell you, so I would say for last time you had me on the podcast, Coach Coop, I had been working like behind the scenes on this idea that I was feeling as frustrated as a coach where when you can't be at practice and due to work or personal responsibilities, and I felt I was doing a disservice to the athletes that I was coaching. And even as a coach, and you know this, when you're coaching multiple athletes and you're watching a group of athletes, there's some reps that you miss. And
Yeah.
that's the reality of coaching. So I started pondering over this idea of, is there a way to, if an athlete is running and their coach isn't present, to provide feedback, as well as a coach who's coaching multiple athletes that is able to see what they can't see or catch the missing reps. And that's where this idea of remotion, seeing what you can't see came about. And I want to give you an example of how that will work. So Coach Coob, you're a coach and you're watching your sprinters run by and you're like, okay, overall, from what I can see with the natural eye, everything looks good. However, you're a great coach. You're like, let me just video it just to make sure to see if I'm not missing anything. And so you begin to look at it and you have the app and you say, okay, overall looks great. However, you notice they're reaching a little too far. Now you can't see that when they're running full speed all at once with your natural eye. However, you notice it that it's a small issue that they're reaching too far. And if we don't address it, it could become a bigger issue. Now you, as a coach, are aware of this issue, and now you can say, "Hey, look, this is what you're doing. Now we can address it and make that correction." And so that's what remotion is seeing what you can't see. And so, man, we it's in the App Store, and just as of March, and so we've got some downloads. We've got a few paying subscribers, and we haven't even pushed it out yet. So we are excited about remotion.
We're on the trajectory. We're moving somewhere. And I know you talked about, having life, trying to balance out coaching and trying to figure out like how to help the athlete. Cause I'm with you there, right? You feel bad on the days that you can't make it because of other obligations, or you're out there in practice and you're watching your athletes run, but technically like, hey, I'm focused on this one. I'm trying to see everybody. I can't see it all at once. How has it been to kind of integrate this into your daily practices? And what are some of the things that you're kind of using it, and how has it helped your athletes?
So how I've used it is if we do a speed day or sprinting day, flying 30s, and I'll take my phone and I'll say, all right, athlete one, go by. And then a few seconds, I'll let them go by and get the video as you would do it like any coach. Then I upload the video in the app. I click a few buttons and I just begin to look for those little things that I might be missing. I can only see so much as they're sprinting full speed by and using this to like, am I seeing everything? Are they reaching too far? Are they casting their leg out a little too much when they're sprinting? Those things that I'm using and then tweaking or correcting. Hey, look, you're doing this. This is something that we need to address. And so I've been using it just to make sure are moving efficiently, if you will.
Have you tried it with, other athletes? Like, because obviously you're working with sprinters on the track, right? So a lot of the
Mhm.
mechanics, you want it to be perfect. Now, if we take this over to field sport athletes, say like football, basketball, soccer, how would Because I mean, obviously that's the potential, right? We're talking about growing this
Right.
thing fully out. Obviously, right now we're focusing on track, but do you see it helping some of those other sports and teaching them some of the mechanics and how to put it into game use?
I do. As we're starting with track and field sprinting because that's what we know. However, still can be applied into football. Now, still they're changing different directions and all that. However, sprinting, the shapes are the same, the science is the same, and the movement patterns. And so, when you have the expert in the room that is for football or soccer or basketball with those type of movement patterns, then this concept can be adapted in that sport as well.
I
And
love that.
so that's our idea and growth. And so uh, me and my partner say we're just going to stick to track and field first, but this can be applied elsewhere.
Hey, start somewhere first, right? Like, don't try to be the huge picture first. Like, try to make the small ones to make the bigger one better. But I know you had it with your athletes this year. How did it help you guys throughout the season? And how did your athletes do this year? Because I know you got a chance to be out there this year. What was it like?
It was great, man. We had athletes do really well. Some of them broke the state record in the 4x1, the 4x2, and just the athletes that I've been able to work with over the fall and seeing how they progress in their spring season has been great. And it's, just using little things to like, how do you create an edge for the athlete? How do you help them on their journey? And so I've used this as just like, let's just check all the points, just make sure you're doing okay. And hey, hey, we need to work on you're reaching a little far. So that means we need to do more wickets because that's the thing. If you're reaching too far, let's do wicket drills over hurdles to help fix that. And so I've been using it more for just a critique and making sure those corrections that we're focusing on. Because for me, it's not so much the big issues. Like, what are the little things? When an injury occurs, and what I found and what I've been learning is when an injury occurs, it didn't happen all at that one time. It's a series of events that's happened that has occurred, and then boom. So just looking at it often every few weeks, say, let's just make sure our movement patterns are okay. And so for us this year has been very helpful for the athletes that I've coached. And I'm looking forward to using it a lot more this summer.
So what I'm hearing, coach, is it sounds like you're using the technology to help, not just dictate how you run a practice or dictate how you go on day to day. Because I know that's a huge argument nowadays. It's like, hey, we've got too much technology out there. We got VBTs, we got lasers, we got this, we got that. But I think what a lot of people forget about the whole technology is like we're not fighting against it. We're using it as a tool, to help us collaborate and look in how we can go a little bit deeper, a little bit further to help the athlete. Because at the end of the day, the athletes are all with technology now. So if we don't stay up to date, right, we're going to
Right.
fall behind, right? Because they're also watching video and stuff themselves. Like some of these kids are visual learners, right? Some of them are okay with just
Right.
being on the board and being able to draw it up and write it up or read it in a book. Like, so I think it's just getting with the times. Of it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just sounds like you're using it as a tool to help benefit your athletes and how you structure out your programming. So
That's correct, Coop. Is helping the athlete. And for me as a coach, I can't see everything. Like there's only a certain point that I can see certain things. Like the big things, like as coaches, there are some great coaches that can look at certain things and know, hey, this is what he or she is doing. However, there are certain things that we just can't see. So using technology to help us, okay, now I did see that, but I didn't notice that. Now you're aware. And so using it as a helping tool for a coach or an athlete who may not have access to a coach, that's what is designed for you as a sprinter or an athlete or a coach. And so it's a helping tool. And that's what gets me excited about what we're doing.
so athletes can go in there and put in their own, like they can record themselves and also have a coach look at it through the app. Oh
Correct.
boy.
So yeah, so essentially what happens, the app is in the store on the Apple store. It's not on Google yet, but it's on the App Store. And so an athlete, if they don't have their coach, they can take brother or sister or cousin or mama out there. Say, hey, look, I need you to shoot this phone, run by. and then click a couple buttons, and then it just spits out the information that you want to know about.
What are the main information facts that it's looking at on there? And like, for your 5-year-old or even your 2-year-old, how would you explain
Mm.
it to them what they're looking at on there?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I would say that is what they're looking at is their injury risk assessment. The biggest thing, or I would say, we're focusing on is are they running in the appropriate pattern? So a 5-year old, they're still learning how to develop and how to run and how to handle their body. So for them, it's a little different. This type of technology would be for them. However, it will allow us to say these are the movement patterns that as you progress, these are the certain patterns that you need to make in order to run efficiently. And so it's about awareness, like showing them, okay, this is your angle. This is the optimal angle because there's no such thing as a perfect angle due to height, size, length, all these different things. And so giving them the recommended ranges, I'm like, this is where you should land. And then have something that they can improve to. And so that's the way it's designed. It's not, this is the right way. This is the recommended ranges that you should be in when you're sprinting. And so that's how we've designed it for you to see where you're at and what the optimal ranges are. And my partner who is the computer science teacher, man, he knows all the math and the science
I'm
behind
about
it.
to say, ooh, how would you put all this together? Because I know creating the app and all the math and stuff all behind it. Listen, I took one computer science class in college. They said coding. I said, what do you mean coding? And what? I thought you just turn the computer on and we good to roll. Like, ain't no, they talk about all these different numbers, this, that, does this, and it makes this. Nah, I'm good. But I know you talked about, no perfect angles or anything. Down the line, we look at the app and you get all this collective data for certain sizes, certain sprinters, what events they do and everything. Where do you see all this data going to and how it's going to help propel the app and sprinters going forward?
Like for us on what we want to do for you as a coach or you as a sprinter is once we have that information on where you're starting and having this progress tracker, like, hey, this is where you were 6 months ago and this is where you are now, and say, hey, this is where you come from. And so having that ability to showcase, hey, you are improving or you're not improving. And so how do we adjust that? And so in our roadmap, if you will, is having that progress tracker for that athlete where, hey, this is where you started when you started using the application and now this is where you are. And so that is going to be built in. It's not built in as of yet, but it is on our radar. And to your point about my partner, Matthew Davis, I know he's gonna look at this when it comes out, is we met we met at an Altus, like coaches apprenticeship with Dan Path and Stu McMillan over there at Altus. When they were in
Okay.
Atlanta, I think they actually moved back. They're not in Atlanta anymore. However, we were just around and he was there and we didn't talk a whole lot. I just said, hey, I'm Bradley Moon and I'm Matthew Davis. I'm a computer science teacher. And you're definitely a nerd. So, and then like maybe 3 or 4 months later, he released this raw proof of concept on X saying, hey, look, this is just an app that I'm working on where you get in the blocks and they'll tell you the optimal angles you should be when your sprinters are coming out of the blocks. And then, poop, I was like, yo, this, this is really cool. So anyway, I downloaded the app. I started playing around with it. And I did what you should always do. Slide into his DMs. I slid into his DMs, nice and pretty. I was like, look, bro, hey, do you remember me, Bradley Moon, back at you? Do you remember me? And so he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, bro, I'm loving this app. I said, dude, do you have time to talk to me? So we hop on the phone and say, look, I love what you're doing. I really think we could build a company around this. And he's like, what? Really? We could do that? I'm like, yeah, man, we could. And here we are, man. And so it's been fun. It's been hard. It's been a journey, still is a journey. However, we we know that we have something of value for you as a coach and you as an athlete, and we're just excited about what it can do for you as a coach and athlete.
I love that because I think it embodies everything we kind of learn in school and as being as athletes. One, stay cool with the nerds always, right? Because you never know when you're going to need them. Two, it's not about the grades you make, but the hands you shake, right? If you don't meet with him
Honestly,
before, introduce yourself, right? You don't network with him. He doesn't remember who Coach Bradley is. So you just see this app on X, right? And it is what it is. He probably doesn't take the call because he doesn't know who you are, doesn't know if you're true to
mm-hmm.
who you're really trying to be, right? But
True.
because you met him at another conference, right? Got a chance to shake hands with him and actually talk with him, it leads you to where you guys are now, working on $1 million project. Coach,
Oh,
that right
man,
there, if you don't as athletes, if you don't get excited for the potential of what you have going forward, I think we talk so much about them performing in their sport. There's the missing link in there that I think a lot of our athletes forget is like, hey, when you went through recruiting, don't worry, you had to sell yourself, right? Like
mhm,
somebody had to fall in love with not only who you were on the field, but who you were off the field, right? And that goes to show right here with you working with somebody that you just meet on a whim, right? And now you're working with them side by side. Coach, now if you're brought on Shark Tank, you got your $1 million pitch. What's it going to be? What's going to be the elevator pitch for people to find the app and sign up?
so the elevator pitch is simple. Remotion sees what you can't see. And if they say, well, what does that mean? It's for it spots red flags earlier and allows athletes and coaches to make corrections. And if they want to check it out, App Store, Remotion Sprint, there it is.
I love it, baby. Short and sweet, to the point. Baby, it's not on
And
Google Store yet. It will be soon. If you haven't downloaded it on the App Store, go ahead and download it today. Let me go ahead and hype Coach Moon up in here, man. You can't come in here with ain't no juice, Coach. Come on now, man. You the
come
creator.
on, man.
You talking about it? You talking about an app, brother? Not many of us have been able to work and be able to create an app that's seeing stuff and using the technology that's out there now, but also the greater good of it is for the athletes.
Yeah,
It's for the coaches. It's how to help move the needle to make everybody, moving in the right direction and not trying to hide it from anybody. Like, hey, like, I'm not trying to say that, hey, only the athletes that work with me can only use this app. No,
right.
any athlete, any coach, go ahead, download it, see what it can work for you, how you can use it. Then going on down the line, let's see how it can work for other sports, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the
Correct.
day, most athletes, when they go into off season, they're going to sprint. Okay, so let's just get them on a track. Let's get them on a straightaway. Let's use the app, right? You don't have to be a track athlete to do that, right? You can go and run in a straight line.
And then to your point, it sets the baseline for in the off season for that particular athlete. When you're an athlete or a coach and you're going through your off season strength and conditioning, and you just want to see, all right, how are my athletes moving? What their movement patterns look like this off season. So you'll know, all right, this is where they are. This is how we can adjust. And I keep harping on the fact that it's it's seeing what you can't fix what you cannot see. And so that just keeps going back to having some type of technology that is simple enough for an average coach or an athlete to understand. And that's the goal that we're trying to articulate with this app.
I love it, Coach. Man, Coach, I'm so happy that you came on again, right, and been able to
Yeah.
drop something new. Because, like I said before we even got on camera, it's always nice to have a space where coaches feel safe to drop something that they're working on and how it's going to grow, but also just come on and chop it up with what's going on in life. Like this is the space to do it. Any
Mhm.
podcast that you're a coach, you have a chance to do it, right? Because we all need to hear
Yeah.
everybody's stories. We all need to connect. We all need to continue to have this and grow. So, Coach, thank you so much for coming on again today and dropping this info for us.
No, man, it's been great, and it's there's so much that we're grateful for, and I'll say this: we've been able to we're working on a deal with an Olympian that's going to help us as well,
Woo!
help promote. I can't say who it
Don't
is yet. They
Yeah,
have
you ain't
to
got to
they have
drop any
to
names yet.
sign. We're working on that, and so I'll tell her she she has used the app and she really enjoyed giving us feedback and using it. She said it's interesting that it showed the inefficiencies that I already knew that I was having. And it's interesting, the app didn't know all that. It just showed me the data. And so it's really interesting how she shared with us with that. So anyway, then we've got a Harvard student athlete who's helping us with content purposes, and so we're we're building out our team because it's going to take
Well,
more than just me and
working
an
off
athlete.
scenes,
And
right? Is moving somewhere, right? Wait for it to drop.
so anyway, Coop, I'm so grateful, as you know, creating a space for coaches like me to come on here and talk and share information how we can help each other for sure.